America is basically a 250-year-old melting pot, using a lot of ingredients. But it was not always this way. To understand this past reality, I'm going to tell you a story. A story about the Native Americans.
I will actually turn around if you don't stop.
Okay.
A very long time ago, there used to be an intercontinental ice bridge connecting today's Russia and Alaska. This bridge was called Beringia. Some ancient Siberians and East Asians migrated on the bridge, leaving their old homes for a new landmass, the Americas. Soon, they spread out, establishing territories and becoming new peoples. It was a very peaceful time, at least in the north. That was until the Europeans showed up. Europeans actually started to visit the Americas during as early as 1000, when Vikings landed in what is now Canada. But the year that most people pay attention to is 1492. I think you all know why. Christopher Columbus, the Italian explorer who actually explored for Spain, found the Americas in 1492. To make a long story short, he did not like the natives living there. He enslaved, exploited, and manipulated them. Most of the white world at the time saw this as a good idea and followed in his footsteps, especially the Spanish. But that's a story for another time. Even when Americans won their independence from the Europeans, they too felt that abusing the natives was totally fine. But since they wanted to do it more subtly, they made something that no European had thought of before. Reservations. Let's say America found some land. It's very undesirable. Because of this, they throw some random tribe into that area and call it a reservation taken care of by the United States. But no one in this reservation could be a citizen or vote. Adding to this, the US will immediately take the reservation back if they find anything valuable. That was, and still is, the nonsensical reality, and the natives had to deal with it, though there were many times where they didn't. 1811. Creek Indians joined with the British Empire to attack Western settlements in the United States. 1812. The War of 1812, obviously. Still 1812. The Red Sticks, a faction of Creek Indians, went on to attack a fort in Mississippi. 1817 through 1819. Fugitive slaves and Seminole Indians fought to keep Florida free. Even though all of these conflicts came out as a US victory, it still proved that natives would fight for their land. So in response to this, the government tried to make reservation deals with them. But most of these deals were broken basically a decade after they were made. One of these broken deals, the one that will lead up to the Battle of Bighorn, was the false promise of Black Hills. Hey, remember what I said about how the US would immediately retake any reservations that had valuable resources in the land? That was basically Black Hills. It was a very sacred part of the Sioux reservation, but the government decided to take it back. Why? Gold. Basically, more gold equals more money equals rich. After the confirmation of gold in Black Hills was made, the US stormed through. This was the source of the hate that caused the Battle of Little Bighorn. One day, Lieutenant George A. Custer was searching the plains for Indians, keeping track of the reservations with his 210 men. On the other side of Little Bighorn River, a herd of Native Americans were camped in Montana. It was on either side of the river that they met. The lines were drawn and the game was set. Custer moved forward and the battle had begun. The natives were west of the Little Bighorn River, while Custer and his men were east. This was a challenge for both sides, but the Native American tribes, led by Crazy Horse, were able to cross the northern part of the river right into battle. Through very risky but strategic maneuvers, Crazy Horse and his men were able to surround two parts of Custer's main flank, now split into three corps. Meanwhile, Gall, another Native American leader, swiftly took out the third corps. After weakening one of them, Crazy Horse wiped the other two out. Sitting Bull and Gall also moved in the center and south to clear up the river sides. Together, they knocked the rest of the cavalry out of the area. The Native Americans defeated Custer's squadron and by that won the battle. The Battle of Little Bighorn was a massive defeat for the US Army, but they weren't going down that easily. Soon, massacres and atrocities forced the Native Americans to surrender their lands. The morale was killed as soon as it was created, but times were changing. This battle proved that these Native Americans wanted to be treated like Americans, else they would fight to the death for it. New acts were passed in favor of Native Americans participating in the American system. Several projects have been and are still being made today to commemorate the lives lost in the battle. And a good amount of the US population has agreed that Columbus did not really deserve the credit he gets today, and celebrates Indigenous Peoples Day every second Monday in October. In the end, it's very clear that the Battle of Little Bighorn was definitely worth it.